Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cares Project podcast. Today we are talking about feminism and eugenics, and yeah, we this is going to be an interesting episode. We're going to be d- doing some deep dives into what is going on. We're going to get some slides up. We're going to look at some quotes. We're going to listen to some um, interesting um, interviews. I mean clips. So let's actually pull some of these up, and we'll look at the two sisters here. Let's pull this one
By
up.
the way, while my dad's pulling that up, guys, can someone tell me, please? I need to know. Is anyone else becoming allergic to fruit? Lately, for the last little while, whenever I eat fruit, it's like no matter what the fruit, I start like coughing like crazy, my throat gets tight, and I feel like I can't breathe. Google is telling me it's anaphylaxis. I don't know what they're putting in the food, but someone please tell me if I'm not the only one, because like this is not normal. Side note, just send me a comment or something. Anyway,
Yeah, so
find the
we're
clip.
gonna go with this first clip here.
Who was Tennessee Claflin? Have you ever wondered about the women who broke barriers in the business world during the late 19th century? One such figure is Tennessee Claflin, often called Tenny. Born in 1844, she was the younger sister of the famous Victoria Woodhull, a key player in the women's rights movement. Their lives intertwined in ways that would change the landscape for women in America. Tenny's early life was not easy. She faced many challenges, including a tough family situation. Before her rise to fame, she worked as an itinerant faith healer, traveling to help others. In 1868, she and Victoria moved to New York City. This move was a turning point for both sisters. They became connected with Cornelius Vanderbilt, one of the richest men in the country at that time. Tenny's skills in magnetic healing and her relationship with Vanderbilt helped them gain prominence. In 1870, Tennessee and Victoria made history by becoming the first female stockbrokers in New York City. They opened their brokerage firm, Woodhull, Claflin and Company, on Wall Street with financial backing from Vanderbilt. This was a remarkable achievement, breaking gender barriers in finance. It showed that women could thrive in male-dominated industries. From a civil rights law perspective, Tenny Claflin's career highlights the struggles women faced in accessing equal opportunities. Her success, alongside Victoria, shows the need for legal protections that promote gender equality. The accomplishments of the Claflin sisters helped pave the way for future generations of women seeking careers in fields traditionally reserved for men. The story of the Claflin sisters has practical implications for civil rights law today. Their experiences illustrate the importance of legal frameworks that support women's rights in the workforce. This aligns with ongoing efforts to ensure equal access to education, employment, and economic opportunities for women. Tennessee Claflin's life and career serve as a historical example of the fight for women's equality. Her achievements in the business world remain relevant today, reminding us of the ongoing need for legal protections and support for gender equality.
I mean, they're like, yeah, she made it in the business world with the backing of one of the richest men in the country.
But then it shows that somehow women can thrive in male dominated spaces. But again, she was backed by one of the richest men. So tell me how women can thrive in male dominated space. They act like they're painting this as if like she just came on the come up by herself. She just outwitted all these men and
Yeah, that's the story that they're kind of trying to paint, but that's really not the case. She had help,
yeah.
right? A lot of those guys that came up there and made it, they didn't have anything,
Yeah.
right? Some of them did, but some guys have nothing and they go in there and make it from nothing.
But what interest did this guy have to plop this girl here and skip all the steps? What interest did he have to back this woman to be in the finance for her to get that position and status? Like, you see what I'm saying? What's the benefit? Because the wealthiest man backing this girl to do this and then being, oh, she was the first woman to blah, blah, blah. No, she was the first woman who got paid her way into it. Like,
Well, was she smart? Yes,
probably
not doubting it. But to get into that area, she didn't do it by herself. She had to have help. That's really what it is. Like, they're like, yeah, it was a great accomplishment, but she didn't do it herself. She didn't.
that's my point. It doesn't matter if she's smart if she didn't do it by herself. That means that women cannot actually thrive in male dominated spaces. That's a lie.
Yeah, they wouldn't. The women wouldn't have gotten in there by themselves on their own.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the yes. I see what you're saying, and that's really it. Let's look at something that focuses a little bit more on the other sister, and then we'll start pulling up some slides.
At a time when women were expected to know their place, Victoria Woodhull blazed the trail as a fierce advocate for women's suffrage and empowerment. Born Victoria Claflin in Ohio, 1838, she was the daughter of a salesman who traveled the country selling snake oil. When she was just 15 years old, she married Channing Woodhull, who was addicted to alcohol and morphine. He went on to physically abuse her and failed to support their family. In an era when divorce was considered shameful for women, especially mothers, after 11 years of suffering, Victoria made the brave decision to end her marriage. She believed in free love, meaning people should only stay in relationships that made them happy. In 1868, Victoria moved to New York, where she opened a salon with her sister Tennessee, where people were free to talk about the issues of the day. She also acted as a spiritual advisor to wealthy New Yorkers, including business mogul Cornelius Vanderbilt. Victoria believed that financial independence was the key to female independence. So in 1870, the sisters opened America's first female-owned brokerage, which only served women. With the money they made, they launched their own newspaper, publishing articles on radical topics like women's rights, sexuality, and spiritualism. As a result, Victoria's profile grew. She even addressed Congress on the subject of women's suffrage in 1871. That same year, Victoria became the first woman to run for president, but the press attacked her campaign. And when Victoria published an article revealing that one of her critics, a reverend, had had an affair, she was arrested on obscenity charges, prosecuted, and even spent time in jail. Her reputation suffered, even among her supporters. But Victoria continued to fight for women's rights until her death in 1927. How do women stand up for their rights today?
You notice how they just gloss over the spiritualism?
Yeah, I that's what I was heard. That's exactly what I heard.
Yeah. So we're gonna get back to straight up.
But
what? Go ahead.
also take note that she said women getting money was the key to their independence because she was beaten by her ex-husband and he was doing morphine. He was also addicted to alcohol, so obviously she's traumatized. But when you give women money and power, they use it as a means to abuse men because they think now the shoe's on the other foot. I can do whatever I want. I own this. It's mine. My name is on this, and I'm going to do whatever I want to you. They don't use it as a means of, "Oh, I'm going to share this with you." It's, "I'm going to use this to strong arm you into submission, and you're going to do what I say because now I have the money, now I have the position, now I have the power, now I have the assets. What are you going to do about it? I don't need you." And this has become a serious problem. I'm not saying that women shouldn't ever have money in hand or, work if you want to, do whatever you want. But it's just when you give women power and money, it always leads to one thing. That's just female nature.
Yes, being dependent on a woman is what the worst thing a man
Worst
can
thing
do.
you can do.
More headaches than anything else.
Because she's gonna feel herself. She's gonna smell herself too much.
She's gonna feel like she owns you.
Yes.
Right?
And then she's gonna treat you like a slave and a
That's
dog.
exactly it. And so that's really not the way a dynamic should go.
This is why women today, they're not actually being vulnerable and submitting to men, because they think that they don't need to actually be intimate or vulnerable, like in a personable way with a man, and actually show their true character, or actually connect with him on a personal level, because they're like, now I have the money, you're my bitch, and you're gonna do what I want. You cook for me, you clean for me, you go out. If I want to go sleep with whoever I want to sleep with, I have the money. Who cares? I can take care of myself and I don't need you. What are you here for? I don't want you here. Why are you here? You can't sleep with me. You can't do whatever. You can't do whatever. Anything that I want. I don't need you for anything. If I want to sleep with someone and get off, then I can do that. If I want to buy whatever I want, I can do that. That's what women are doing today. And it's because they have money and power.
Well, they have money and they think they have the power.
They
but
think, yeah.
They don't have the power that they think they have.
Yes.
They might have the ability to buy things, but they're not going to do it in the same ways, deal with it the same way as men.
Yes, and then the women, when they get that money and stuff, they just go around destroying people.
Yeah. So let's go back and look at some quotes here as we getting ready here to start. But why can't... What? Okay. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's why I'm like, why can't I stop this?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, what? Why is that? Yeah, that's fine. So we're gonna look at Victoria Woodhull. She was a spiritualist feminist and believed in free love. And some of this comes out of abuse, which will distort her perspective on things.
Well, she said you should only be in a relationship that makes you happy.
Yeah.
That's not what marriage is about.
No.
Marriage is not about happiness. The relationship, when you get to have the relationship, it's love, that's happy, whatever. When you get married, it's family, it's something else.
Yes,
it's the husband
commitment.
and wife, it's the children. It's a blessing from God.
Yes, and so she has a skewed perspective from being with an abusive man.
Yeah.
And so forth, and then she's into spiritualism and so forth, and we'll see some of the ideology that she had. So, on the other hand, we're looking at it from Ellen White's perspective on marriage, purity, and her thoughts on spiritualism, and so forth. So, it says, right and duty to commune. It is not alone the right, but the duty of every human being to communicate with the unseen world.
That's crazy.
Yes. So this is pushing straight out her spiritualistic ideas. And these are ideas that went into feminism. And remember that women like Elizabeth Cady Stanton believed that Lucifer, the serpent, was the liberator of woman.
Crazy.
Right? So these people are going into these types of arts to liberate themselves from men. And they looked at the white men as oppressors and so forth. And they tried to equate their experience with slaves. Now, this woman was beaten and she had an alcoholic husband, so her life was not very good. Well, some of these women were not in that position, right? So for them to sit down and start doing that, they're doing some mental gymnastics. You may not like your life or you're like your position in life, but to sit down and some of them to just equate themselves with slaves, that's not even close.
Right.
And okay, so now you come here and it says unholy spiritual love. these doctrines, which is the spiritualism doctrines, led to free loveism. I was instructed to call it unholy spiritual love.
It is.
Right? And this is something that a woman who was a spiritualist was promoting, the free love. Whatever makes me feel good is who I love. Right? And some of the things that she proposed and some of the other people that believed in this proposed was completely destructive to society. Because if everybody practiced free love, our society would be cooked completely 100%. Because there'd be no familial structure. There'll be nowhere to deal with things. And when I look at women talking about this, and for example, women that are okay with polyamory and don't think it's any problem with it, they don't understand how men work. They do not.
No.
Men without structure, it's just going to make life worse. Undisciplined, uncontrollable, like men that have lack of self-control, they're dangerous. There's no other way to put it. Right? So, it says, consent is a higher law. To woman, by nature, belongs the right of sexual determination. When the instinct is aroused in her, then and only then should commerce follow.
That's crazy.
So that the woman controls sex completely and the man has no say in the matter. Only when she wants it, then he will get it.
That's sick.
Yes. That is
really
somewhat
sick.
That's because of being in a position of lost control, she become a control freak.
But what if a man said that about women? They'd say he was a rapist.
That's exactly it.
He would be in prison. They'd find a way to put him in prison. They would find the crime and then place it on him.
This is a violent power struggle in being put here. Because when you look at the way that men act out and women go internally, this is the equivalent of a man wanting to force himself because she's like, I'm going to shut the door because I can't force you, but I'm going to bar you from coming in. And this is equally as hostile.
That is hostile. That
in
is
its
hostile.
intent. It's 100% hostile.
If anyone has ever been in a relationship, and I think some women who are in abusive relationships could probably understand this too, but if you've ever been in a relationship where you've only been permitted to be intimate with the person when they want to, you feel so disgusting. Like that makes a person feel deeply disgusting. And then it makes you feel like if you ask to be intimate with the person in any way, that you are perverted. It makes you feel like you're evil against your own self is evil just because you want to connect with someone. That is a mind game and a level of evil that you should not do that to someone, because then that person is going to overcompensate doing a whole bunch of other things because they think, oh, well, now I'm bad and I need to make up for being such a bad, disgusting person. And I need to do all these things to try and like make this person more comfortable. Meanwhile, this person is doing this on purpose to force you into capitulating to the things that they want you to do that you wouldn't have otherwise done, because they are starving you out and abusing. Like, what that is so bad that even the secular world confesses that that is extremely emotionally and intimately abusive.
Yes. And and like as a Christian, you sit down and say, if no one needs sex outside of marriage.
That's what I'm talking about.
But within the relationship, if you want your relationship to thrive, the man needs sex. Saying that he doesn't need sex inside of a marriage, you're ludicrous. You're destroying your marriage, right? You want to kill your relationship? Withhold sex. Go ahead. And when it ends, don't complain, because you have to do both things to help the thing thrive, and that's just the way it goes. And here we go with the next one. So, Christ exalts marriage. He came not to destroy the sacred relationship of marriage, but to exalt it and restore it to its original sanctity. So one is against it and says that this is power and control, and the woman holds all the control. And that's the other one is saying God wants to restore it to its original sanctity. Where is that balance that's only achieved through submission to God? Right? And so you're seeing two very, very different pictures of what is going on.
Yeah, honestly, this is why women want money. Because women, if they have money, they feel more emboldened to do stuff like this. If a woman doesn't have money, she's going to be more likely to want to cooperate with her husband. Not that I'm not talking about a woman who's destitute and has no other choice. I'm talking about like a woman who actually has to rely on her husband. She needs him just like he needs her, and they choose to need each other. She's going to be more likely to cooperate with him and actually give him what he needs because she's going to be considerate. But when she thinks that she doesn't need him, she's like, I don't need to consider whatever you want. Give me what I want or get out of my face. Because I have the money to do whatever I want and I don't need you to be here. So get to stepping. I'll replace you by next week. Just open my DMs. Like, that's just how it is. That's how the women get on. That's just what it is.
Yes, and that's not conducive to
women
keeping society going.
They're literally using money to commit acts of sexual abuse. Like,
yes,
it's sexual coercion and exploitation.
Yes, it's wickedness.
It is wicked.
So we'll go to the next one. Serial choice claimed. I have an inalienable and a natural right to love whom I may, to change that love every day if I please.
Yo! Oh, no, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, so whatever my feelings is, that follow your heart. So if your heart feels like you want to have someone else today, then you go with it. Could be 6 minutes later. Could be 6 weeks later.
She's an addict.
That's you can't follow your lust. You can't. If you do that all the time, then the whole society breaks down.
But why?
If we all did that, we're all cooked.
But why would you want to, is my question. Why would you want the stress of dealing with multiple people? Like, this is why I say women don't understand what they're dealing with or how men actually operate, because if they realized just how little they understood about men and how crazy it is to operate with just one man, they would be terrified to be sleeping with multiple men constantly, back to back to back. Like, that's a new one every night if they please. That's suicide. That's the women think it's just a physical disparity between men and women. It's not. It's mental and emotional. Women are at such a disadvantage. You are cooking you're triangulating yourself on, and then women will complain about getting raped. And I'm like, just to be honest, this mentality is why so many women are getting raped and so many women are getting themselves into problems, because they're not acknowledging what they're actually dealing with. They're not acknowledging that they are at a disparity when it comes to men. They're disadvantaged, and they want to go out and, because they want to feel good, oh, I'm going to go sleep with these men, but I have no idea how they're cooking me, like, in real time and preemptively, like, just you see what I'm saying?
They're putting themselves in situations they wouldn't normally be in.
Yeah.
Right? In unnatural situations where men are going to have more access to them than normal. So it's going to drive up the increase of these things, and these predatory men will know where to go to get the access.
But they don't even know what they're dealing with. Like, I saw a
No,
girl
they
on
don't.
X.
They don't.
I saw a girl on X before this thing started saying that if how you know a man have low testosterone. You know,
she doesn't know what she's talking about.
She said if the girl cries and he wants to sleep with her, he gets horny, then he has a high testosterone. I was like, what the hell are
Yes.
This is what we're dealing with.
So we're going to look at a holy principle. True love is a high and holy principle. Passion is termed love by many.
Wait.
So
Oh, yeah.
love is a high and holy principle that's here.
Yes.
Passion, how you feel and you what you want to go and jump their bones, is what people term as love, and it's not. Passion
Yes.
and love are not the same thing.
Action versus
Sometimes,
feelings.
yes, you'll have passion with the person you love, but you don't always have to feel passionate for someone you love, because sometimes you're going to be angry or something happening. It goes ups and downs. But people who want to follow passion and call it love, that's where problems create. That's where people create problems.
But if a man said, I'm going to follow my passion and I don't feel like paying the bills today, I don't feel like giving you love and affection today and giving you words of affirmation, I don't feel like being there for you when you need it, then the women will say, oh, he's abusing me. He's trying to coerce me into doing what he wants. He's trying to manipulate me. He's trying to, like, you see? Like,
yeah, I hear
the love
you.
is have to be the action, like the principle.
Yeah, we got to take a short commercial break, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
Yeah, let's, if anybody wants any MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call 1-800-845-2942. Use the promo code Karis. I mean, he's got good stuff there. Excuse me, they got the beds, pillows, bath sheets, all these good things. Try it out. They got kitchen stuff and so forth. Support a good cause, and the fight against human trafficking. Or if you're watching on Rumble or Facebook or any of the other places there, you can get the links in the description, or if you can go to all my links /the Karis Project, or you could support the Karis Project here at the donor box or the Gifts and Go. We'd love to have some support. A lot of people don't like it when you start exposing these types of things and they come after you harder. So all the support would be appreciated. So we're going to kind of get back to where we were at, and keep going with that. So we have, sorry, she says, I am a prophetess. I am evangel. I am a savior. I too come not to bring peace, but a sword. That is some next level pride right there. Next level. That is beyond belief. Now here's the counter. A dangerous deception. Spiritualism is now changing its form and assuming a Christian guise. It is really a more dangerous deception, because the things that she is saying, that woman, is now worked its way into Christianity and becoming more palatable, because people think that spiritualism is just saying some chants and all these kinds of things. That's not all it entails. The practices and so forth that are in there, that way of thinking and manner of doing things. And you're seeing people inside of the churches doing the same types of things as these occultist people,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, and it's going to get worse. And it says, free love as a justice claim. If a woman hath the right to refuse the embrace of a man, then every exercise of this right is a practical assertion of her ownership of her own body. When a man undertakes to exercise it without her consent, he is a usurper and a tyrant. The practice is not less damnable because it's legalized. It is nonetheless rape because law calls it marriage. An embrace.
A hug.
An
A hug
embrace.
is rape. That's crazy.
This is where you get to
A
come in.
hug from your spouse, no less, not a stranger.
So if they didn't feel like they wanted it, you're done.
You're going to jail. You're cooked.
This is where where you have an abused person.
Yes.
Because
yes, that's the key.
You can't do that because times when my daughter was younger and I went to come and give her a hug and she was mad and she pushed me off because she was pissed off. Did I abuse her?
That's
like
crazy.
What kind of nonsense is that? Seriously.
If anything, women should be grateful if they have a husband that reaches out to them to give them a hug even after a disagreement, to try and show some form of reconciliation and kindness, to extend an olive branch. Instead, they're accusing him of rape. But this is why women cannot lead, because even after women been traumatized, they go through a certain situation, everything that glitters is gold, and everything that's bad, that looks bad, is bad. If it looks the same, it is the same. That's not it. They don't want to look at the circumstances. They're just looking at the outcome. And if the outcome is the same in their eyes and how they feel, you're cooked. You're cooked. That's why they can't lead. That's why they should be in positions where they determine life or death things, especially in situations like this, because they're going to inject personal feelings into it and personal experience.
Well, that's exactly it. And being with an abusive alcoholic, it's going to very much taint her perspective
on what it is
and make her hypersensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, do I think any woman should be abused? No, this is not at all. But I'm saying, if you're going to sit down and say that somebody's going to come in and try to embrace you, and you then it becomes rape if you say crazy. No, and I don't want to do that. Like, no, right? Like, it's different. Right? It's different if somebody comes in to try to force you down and do some kind of filth. That's a different story. Right?
Or put you in a sexually compromising situation where you have no choice. That's different.
When you're sitting down and looking at these things, you want to, and in a marriage, you should have some leeway, because how in her mind that the woman controls sex, no, that's going to destroy your marriage fast.
But do you know what's funny?
What?
On one end, they'll say a hug is rape. On the other end of feminism, they'll say, like, have sex with your partner while they're sleeping. I saw this post the other day. Mind you, this came from John Money. He's the one who was coined with this term, and this man used pedophiles as the example of his studies for getting information of how children can be aroused at young age, so sexuality for them at a young age is okay. And he had two twin brothers perform sexual acts on each other in therapy. They ended up killing themselves as adults. They actually made one of them into a girl, and then later in life, you found out he was actually a man. They cut his penis off, made him transgender. But this is what the two opposing ends of this is. Anyway.
Yeah. So there's a call to holiness. God calls upon us to be holy and pure, that we may reflect the image of Christ. So if you're in a Christ-like marriage, both the man and the woman are to be holy and pure, and that they're not going to be abused. There's not going to be a power struggle, that they're going to work together and have mutual love and respect. The man, even though he's in a different position as the protector and so forth, is not going to abuse the woman if he has got God in his heart. And this is why, in order for the marriage to work in the best possible manner, we need God. because we have problems as human beings.
Do you I still can't believe this hug nonsense. Just imagine that you want to connect with your spouse on a natural normal level and they call you a rapist. Like, that's psychological warfare, man. Like,
Yes, and I mean, there's a wide range of things that can go from that, right? And some of it is got the sexual connotations. So where it is needs to be very much well defined rather than leaving it as a wide range.
well, that's why it should be the principle, like Ellen G. White said, because these women are going based off of their feelings and personal perceptions.
Yes. So now we're going to go on to some of her eugenic tendencies. On being born sound and perfect. Now, to what more than anything else do humanity owe their welfare and happiness? Most clearly, being born into an existence with a sound and perfect physical, mental, and moral beginning of life, with no taint or disease attaching to them either physically, morally, or mentally. Mentally, morally, or physically. And so she thinks that this is what you need, your genetics, and so forth. And this will become more clear as we continue and have this conversation. Listen to what she says. Restoring the divine image in humanity. When God created humankind in his image, he was intent that he would be whole. In the image of God in humankind was marred and well nigh obliterated by sin. So what we think of our great genes, well, sin was what marred the image of God, especially in the moral nature of man. This is why we have so much degeneracy and tendencies towards evil. We want to sit down and talk about it, but the fallen nature, the propensity to commit sin is our downfall. Every single one of us struggles with it, and it causes us more problems. I'm watching people do nonsense that's going to kill them. Let's continue. Regulated reproduction. Denying marriage licenses to anyone malformed or having a transmissible or communicable disease, as well as applicants who fail to demonstrate understanding or means birth registries certified by physicians. This certificate should be produced before any marriage certificate could be obtained, thus ensuring mutual benefits for all. So the state would control who gets married.
A woman brought forward the idea of birth certificates and marriage certificates?
No, certificates to allow you to get married. If you don't have that certificate, you can't get married and have kids.
Oh no, that's crazy.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. No, that's crazy.
Yeah. That is.
And if they don't think that you have the right genetics, you don't have the right.
Exactly. That is. Oh yes.
This is next level eugenics and to weed people out.
Yes.
Like, because that's crazy.
Yes, it says when Adam came from the Creator's hand, he bore in his physical, mental, and spiritual nature a likeness to his Maker. So God created man in the image, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, to be resemble like God. And the best way to get back to that is by God. Genetics aren't going to get you to restore you back to the way that God intended you to be. Sorry, it's never going to work. Right? And so that's what God says. So if you believe in God, that's really what it is. This is even more bold. Women's regeneration of humanity. The regeneration of humanity will not be complete until the pioneer of the dawn must be the idealized woman who through her perfect offspring will guide man in his aspirations to higher aims of life. So this woman thinks that only women, the idealized woman, which is a certain type of woman that has to be at her peak, are the only ones who can, through her perfect offspring, will guide man. This is eugenics, like textbook, right? This is like in line with Hitler's thinking, right? So all of these people that are doing this, this is feminism.
Yeah.
Feminism. And when men are going and saying this, you're a feminist.
Yeah.
Pride and exaltation. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before fall. Whenever pride and ambition are indulged, the life is marred, for pride, feeling no need, closes the heart against the infinite blessings of heaven. When you're prideful, God can't help you. The devil became the devil because of pride. And people allow pride. They're like, oh, I don't like this and that. God hates pride more than anything else. Because pride is the reason why the devil became the devil.
Yeah.
And it opens the door for a multitude of wickedness.
Yeah. And the devil is literally a pedophile.
Yes.
And all it took was pride to get him there.
And that whole implication of the woman being the redemptive one to guide man to where they needed. No. Christ is your redeemer. Your compassionate redeemer is watching you with love and sympathy. He knows the burden of every mother's heart and is her best friend in every emergency. Not your genetics. Jesus. You need help to raise your child to the best possible degree. You need Jesus. Not your genetics is not going to get you where you need to be. Genetics don't save anybody. Right? Mothers rejecting the genetic cast is what she was talking about with her eugenicist ideas. Like how people are talking about you need to be the blonde-haired, blue-eyed. That is a genetic cast.
Yeah.
Mothers are entrusted with the shaping character for children regardless of fitness. They must rely on God to mold young minds through prayer and virtue, not biologically determined superiority. That is as anti eugenicist as possible. It says they must, let me read that again.
Yeah.
Mothers are entrusted with shaping character for all children, regardless of fitness. They must rely on God to mold young minds through prayer and virtue, not biologically determined superiority.
Oh, Jesus. That's why they hated her.
Not your blonde hair and blue eyes is not going to get you where you need to go. It is God. It's not your black skin. If you're a black supremacist, it is God.
Yeah.
No amount of genetics is going to get you where you need to go. It is God.
Yeah.
Right? So
what if the blonde-haired, blue-eyed person is a pedophile going around raping your children?
Well, that's
is he
exactly
still going to go to heaven because he has genetic superiority?
The black racists will protect the black criminals. The white racists will protect the white criminals.
Yeah.
And this is nonsense.
And they leave the children to be vulnerable.
Yes.
They're the ones who are going to suffer.
Yes. The children are always the ones who are going to suffer.
It's actually disgusting.
It's
actually so disgusting.
It is very disgusting.
I've seen examples of this.
Yes, it is very disgusting. And we're gonna pull up a clip here before we run up on time on this segment. And we're gonna look at some of these types of ideas that we were talking about. And we will pull this up here.
But it is, at the end of the day, this is a problem of diversity. Diversity brought these problems here. We have this dissonance because we have an open society. We have self-government. Yeah, that worked when it was all white people. Don't tell me about education. That worked for white people. Self-government, open society, that worked when it was just white people. Now that we got to share this space with Africans and Indians and Chinese and Salvadorians and Venezuelans, doesn't work anymore. Okay? They can't handle guns. They can't handle fucking spears. We're giving them Glocks. They can't handle it. Okay? Welfare state, direct democracy, all this kind of stuff, it's not working with diversity. We are now a multiracial empire. It's got to be governed like an empire now. It's either got to be governed like a confederation or an empire. But this is no longer a republic. Fuck all that. People talk about a republic if you can keep it. How do I translate republic into Cantonese? How do I translate republic into Igbo? How do I translate republic into Urdu? Can somebody get a translator here, please? A republic, if you can keep it. That's fucking over. We had a republic when people said the Pledge of Allegiance, and I know that's a modern innovation, but we had a republic when people saluted the flag, and there was a sense of familiarity and togetherness, a sense of commonality and coherence. There doesn't exist that anymore. People are fighting. People are bringing this fucked up stuff to our doors. And either the government's got to do something about it or you got to let the people do something about it. But it can't go on like this.
That's a little bit too much. I didn't realize he was cursing that much. But at the end of the day, sorry, Nick, you're a feminist. Right?
Yeah.
You're following exactly that same feminist woman's eugenicist ideas.
Yeah.
You know what the difference is? Godlessness. Godlessness and fatherlessness. Because all these people that sit down and say per capita and all these kinds of things, that you rape and pillage anybody and you're going to start producing those types of things. And a lot of people, like I sit down and listen to people cry and complain. You know what? When these problems were in somebody else's on the other side of the tracks and they didn't affect you, you didn't give a damn. And then it just got worse and worse and worse. And now it's affecting you. And now you're screaming and crying. But you got too comfortable because y'all scream talking about how you conquered this and that. And many people are getting ready to pack up and leave rather than fighting for the country that people soak their bloods in. And then the people that can help you, you want to reject them because they're not part of your genetic stock that you think is the ideal people, but those people have God in their hearts, right? Which puts them in a greater position than you. And it doesn't matter if somebody knows 2 scriptures or they know the entire Bible. If they're following God to the best they know, they're in a way better position than you. I don't care if you know all the theology. Somebody who practically applies what they know from God is in a way better position than you.
Yes. 100%.
And so all these people that are sitting down here, and these people are spiritualists, occultists, Luciferians, and eugenicists. And you want to sit down and say that you're going to call yourself a Christian when you're following the ideology of Luciferians. You're sick.
Yeah.
You're sick. You're saying you're a Christian, but your actions are saying otherwise. That even people who aren't Christians can sit down and say, how can you say that you're Christian? Because God don't do that. Jesus don't do that. But then you want to sit down and be high and mighty and say my genetics? That ain't, I never read that in the Bible. It said salvation by genetics. I never saw that. I never saw that somebody was more superior because of their genetics.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's some man-made nonsense. That's, you know what, you want to believe that? I got a bridge for sale in Brooklyn, right? Like, this is nonsense. And you can understand why people hate Ellen White, because she called it like it was. She called a spade a spade. And when it came down to this, you can sit down and say all kinds of stuff, but on this stuff, you can't deny it. You cannot deny it. And if you do, then you're a feminist. And you're aligning with eugenicists and pedophiles and all these kind of things, because this is where all of that stuff was leading to. We're going to see on the next side that even people were saying that one of these sisters was like the forerunner of this thing that we see here now. And when you start sitting down and seeing that free love, I want to call it free loves, She said that that would lead down to the breakdown of the marriage union, the family structure, and all these things. And she said it 150 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can tell you why the feminists liked her, because she didn't like her because she's a woman, and called them out. Call it like it was.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna close here with a prayer, because we're gonna get up on the other side, because we're running up on time, and we'll pull up some other things. So we'll go and continue with the other sister, and then some other things. So, Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. Open our hearts and minds to your wills, and help us to come together, men and women, to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, our nation, that we could have some peace and protection for the children, so that they could develop without being in this wicked, evil system, is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
As always. Yeah, guys, stay tuned for part 2 on the other side, yeah? So, yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. Feminism is very evil. Anyways, we'll catch you in the next one. And here's Karis. Until we meet again, my friend.
Hello, everybody, and we're back on the other side to come back with part 2 to start hitting you back with more truth. And that's really all there is to it. Like I sit down and say, I have nothing against Nick Fuentes at all. I just don't think that he's making a proper use of his platform.
Yeah.
And he needs direction on what he needs to do, because he's got followers. You can mobilize them to do things in the right way, because this is not how men deal with things. This is not how conquerors act. I sit down here and I'm like halfway in the grave because I'm working myself into a bad situation because I'm not stopping, and I'm getting like taking hits from multiple people and cutting off every aspect of where I try to communicate people to help. That's how you kill people, by the way. That's how you kill people. So people are actually going out and doing things to they're taking steps calculated to cause my physical destruction.
Yes.
And I still keep going.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people here that are actually going to be able to do that, because a lot of people sit down and they have their big platforms and they have the money that they're making. I'm certainly not in that situation. I'm doing it because it's right. I'm doing it because I love my country. I'm doing it because I want to help God get his children. It is principle is why I do this. Because all these people are sitting out, people that were accusing me of grifting and saying I was making money, I'd like to see that money. Like, sure, some people helped out here and there, for sure. But I was not making money, sitting down and saying that I was going to put my daughter in a position to get murdered so that I could make a few dollars that we didn't get. You're nuts, right? So, and people see why. Because the people that were coming after us were confederated with pedophiles,
convicted
and
pedophiles,
traffickers, and all these things, and telling me to go and call people traffickers. I'm like, you're a damn trafficker yourself.
Literally.
And then you're working with pedophiles. And then people who were on this whole idea, this eugenicist, racist nonsense, would believe a pedophile because they're
a registered, white. Convicted pedophile, by the way.
Right? They'll believe Luciferians because they're white.
Yeah.
Right? This is the idiocy. And black people do this thing. Every race does this. I watch every race doing this. And all the people that are doing this, you're working for the globalists and doing their job for them. Every single one of you that are doing this and causing this division, rather than pulling together the best to help fight these guys, you might as well put on shirts that say you are working for the WEF and all of these other people because you're doing the work for them.
Yep.
Anyway.
100%.
Let us continue. We will now go on to, we'll go to the, we'll look at the sisters, what they were saying that she was into. So we'll go get to that one. Where is that? It is this one right here. So we're going to see where Victoria was getting us into.
Looking at the matter of how things are shaped or how movements work, right? I would argue that the LGBTQ movement is actually dependent on many predecessors, one of which was essentially sort of an anarchist/libertarian view of how the state should treat people. And I believe that comes out of Victoria Woodhull.
The freedom to love who you want to love without government interference may seem like a relatively new thing. But the push for this ideal actually goes as far back as the 19th century, with the free love movement.
So the free love movement was essentially a middle-class movement from 19th century America. It came out of, to varying degrees, utopian communities, such as the Robert Owen community. And it essentially said that people should be free to make their own decisions about their private and personal lives. around romance and around sexuality. It was condemned by many ministers, by priests, by the more conservative social purity movements, such as the Women's Christian Temperance Union. They were not 1960s hippies. They did not say everybody should be sleeping around. They were not saying people should be totally free with their sexuality. They were simply saying that the state had no right to dictate how people led their personal lives around romance and sexuality.
One of the leaders of this movement was Victoria Woodhull.
So Victoria Woodhull was the first woman to run for president in this country, which a lot of people have forgotten because she has not been included in history. Really a leader in this nation as a suffrage leader, as a woman who started a newspaper, as a woman who had a firm on Wall Street.
And I think the most important thing about her for us today, right, is that she was actually what we would call a sex radical. She was a self-described free lover, which meant that although she was married 3 times and probably monogamous in all those marriages, she believed that the state should have nothing to say about how she chose lovers, when she chose them, or how long she stayed with them, or for anyone else.
And one of the reasons that Victoria Woodhull got so attached to the free love movement is due to a very disastrous first marriage that she had. She was married by the time she was a teenager to a man who was significantly older than her. It was not a good marriage by any means. And she felt it was really unfair that men could go around and have affairs, and it was considered just, part of society, part of male culture, while women were stuck in horrible marriages and had no other choices.
Woodhull was really instrumental to the free love movement because she was, by any measure, one of the most famous women in America. Well, I should say one of the most infamous, right? Thomas Nast did a famous cartoon of her called Mrs. Satan. And she had an enormous political platform. She had her own newspaper. She ran a brokerage firm. She socialized with people like Cornelius Vanderbilt. She was friends with many of the women and worked with many of the women that were in the suffrage movement at the time. So of all the people in America who might actually say these things, she got the most publicity, and I don't doubt she was a bit of a publicity hound.
So there are many reasons why she isn't remembered today. First of all, a lot of history textbooks are very male-centered with prominent white male figures from history, and a lot of women's history hasn't been included. Secondly, Victoria Woodhull was a very liberal person for her time, to put it mildly, and she was involved with the suffrage movement with Elizabeth Cady Stanton and with Susan B. Anthony. And initially they worked together, but then there came a point where her views were considered so radical by Susan B. Anthony that she was sort of kicked out of the movement. And so when the suffragists themselves, other feminists, went to write their own histories, she was excluded from that.
Wow.
Yeah.
This woman was so demonic that the other demonic women kicked her out.
Yes. Yes. The one woman that was there, that she also had a falling out with Stanton as well, is that she wasn't really necessarily overly a spiritualist. She was just an
Susan B.
atheist and a secular humanist.
Yeah.
And she tolerated their things, and she worried that it would be too fringe and extreme and so forth. So she allowed them to do this just as long as they didn't go too far. And either way, it's still, they allowed this type of thinking inside of this movement, which tainted it like completely because of all of these things. And so they're bringing their mindset from their belief systems into this. And this was very incompatible with Christianity. And this is, as keep in mind here, this is the free love, that free loveism that Ellen White was talking about, that was going to lead to the breakdown of the families and all of these things that were talked about, and just laid it out straight there. So let's listen.
So she was a figure who was so controversial for her time, considered so outside of the norm, that not even her contemporaries included her.
The free love movement of the 19th century was also too controversial to be successful at the time.
The free love movement had a list of demands, none of which were ever going to be put into practiced by the government, right? People were not going to get rid of marriage laws. People in the 19th century were not going to get rid of laws that criminalized adultery, right? In terms of concrete accomplishments, it really did almost nothing. In terms of the larger scale, it was enormously effective in terms of getting people to think and getting people to talk about these issues.
And while the free love movement and Victoria Woodhull weren't necessarily advocating for LGBT rights, Woodhull's influence can be seen in today's movements.
I have students ask me, did she advocate for gay rights back then? I highly doubt it. She was very liberal, but, I don't think that she had reached that point. She was heterosexual herself, having been married 3 times. But certainly this concept that she and her colleague created of this free love platform is an ideology that we have seen rippling across time, across the century. And the general theme of what she was saying is still very applicable today, as far as who is anybody else to say, who is anybody else to judge my love life and who I want to spend time with.
So I'm pretty sure that nobody in the LGBT movement in the 1950s or after Stonewall said, you know what, Victoria Woodhull was really right. We should follow her example. But they certainly followed the spirit of her example, which is that the state should have no interference within your personal life.
In fact, Woodhull's ideals of personal freedom are still being fought for by activists like those at the Woodhull Freedom Foundation.
I was awestruck at this human being so many, many years ahead of her time, advocating for the things I believed in and that I wanted to lead an organization that would be focused on.
The organization focuses on issues such as protecting the rights of sex workers and protecting the rights of all kinds of families.
Victoria Woodhull was a proponent of the right to really form family. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that every individual has a right to form family. The United Nations itself has refused to define family, saying that the complexity of family today is so vast that it couldn't be limited by any one description. That's a total mirror of what Victoria Woodhull believed. If I had to explain to a student what they should learn in history that isn't actually taught in textbooks, I would say to find the hidden gems like Victoria Woodhull. We need to bring those stories to the forefront for our children and for our children's children.
No, we don't. No, we don't. We can talk about it, but we can talk about what actually happened.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about the glossed over stuff that leaves out most of the important stuff, right? This is what we don't want to do because this is what everybody else is doing, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to go over and hop over to her sister and see what she has to say, right? So she had a sister, and they were both kind of in the same type of thing. Okay, so you've got Tennessee Celeste Claflin, a spiritualist publisher and a radical reformer. All right, and so we're going to look at what she has to say. And
they're all spiritualists.
Yes, they are.
They're all occultists.
A lot of them. Sorry, that I did a little bit wrong on that slide, but yes. It is, yes, they're all, a lot of them are heavily spiritualists and so forth.
Witches.
Yes. Not all of them, but a lot of them. But a lot of them have, they all have some common ideas, a lot of eugenicists and so forth that are in this, right? And when you realize what they want to do is not to abolish the power structure, they just want to replace the power structure with them at the top. This is really what the ambition is. Yeah. Because if you follow Lucifer wanted to abolish God, not his system. He wanted to take the place of God. And this is what you're seeing in this type of thing anyway. No, it says, While we honor religion, we discriminate between it and dogmatism. Dogmatism has been the bane of civilization, stifled intelligent inquiry, and persecuted every independent reformer and every noble cause. Now they're putting everything all together. See, the Protestant reformers and those who were practicing occultism, they are not in the same boat, right? One were sacrificing children and doing all manner of evil, and they got destroyed for it, while people who were trying to teach the Bible and help other people were getting killed. Not on the same level. I'm not sitting down and saying every occultist or every person that was doing that, but there certainly were people who were doing that, and they certainly got killed for that. So you can't sit down and say that somebody who's getting executed for killing children or doing filth in them is insane, right? So, and then who defines the dogmatism? Because there was a whole anti-Christianity that element in feminism, because they looked at the church as male dominated and they had to get rid of it, get rid of the structure and to change it, and that the women had to reshape it in their image because they knew better. So no creed but the Bible. It's not man's opinion. God will have a people to maintain the Bible and the Bible only as the standard of all doctrines and the basis of all reforms. They wanted to use their opinion to reform the churches and religion and determine what dogmatism was and was not, so that what they thought was right, that is what went. So again, you're going to have contradiction and conflict with those people. Again, another reason why they don't like this woman. Consequences never cease. It is true in morals and in physics that the force is imperishable. Therefore, the consequences of a human action never cease. This is extremely. This is reading sometimes this stuff gives me a headache, because this is an extremely
I'm sorry. What is she trying to say?
She is basically saying that this is 100% spiritualism. It's just saying that if you're doing something, your vibration is going to extend in beyond this time, and that whatever you're doing the impact is going to be forever.
That's manifestation.
This is like when I was looking at this, I was like, oh my Lord, I don't even know.
But that's manifesting.
This is spiritualism.
Well, but modern day they call it manifesting. I would say it is spiritualism. It's occultism.
It's something that I agree, but it's like even after you're done, it just continues to perpetuate. Like you have some kind of infinite power in whatever you're doing.
Like you got Obia. That's what it is. It's Obia.
No, sorry.
Say the work in that moment is so powerful that it's going to have rippling effects forever. That's constantly in motion. That's crazy.
Yes, it is. It's beyond reason. Like, I mean, yeah. I don't even know what to say anymore. But anyway, we'll continue because we've got some stuff to go through. And it says, "Be not deceived, for what God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that also he shall reap." So if you do something, you're going to get it back. Your actions don't continue to go on and on and on into perpetuity because you've got some kind of divine will. You're going to do something. Eventually, you're going to pay the piper. And your actions, they're not going to perpetuate into eternity. Sorry. It's just not the way it works. Right? So, and if you play with this spiritualism, you will definitely reap what you sow. And it isn't going to be pleasant. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to talk about God. and everything else like that. All these people know who God is. They believe in him. They just think he's the enemy. Problem is, he's the one who wears the pants. He might be, people mistake his long suffering for weakness. No, he's not. God he gives you the rope, and he'll let you either get yourself out of the pit or you're going to hang yourself. And when the time comes for that rope to get tight, a lot of people are going to be crying.
Yep.
Test the spirits. Spiritualism, assuming a Christian guise, is a more dangerous deception. When you're seeing this feminism and all this occultism, Luciferianism that is creeping in under a Christian guise, this is a deception. When you're following these people's practices and their leads, I would not want to be associated with anything that these people were doing and follow their lead in doing things. I'm not going to sit down and say some of the causes they went to champion were wrong, because they oftentimes champion good causes, but the things that they are doing that are breaking down the fabric of society should not be repeated. Right? Like outright rebellion to break down the family structure, no. Sorry. Not going to do it. And no, anybody else who wants to preserve any type of semblance of society should not either. Yes, you can do what you want, but there's consequences to everything that you do. And people act like there's no consequences. Because if you do something, it's going to have an effect. If a bunch of people do things, it has an extreme effect, and that's what we're seeing now. Because I guarantee you, if a lot of those people saw what what was happening now, and this would be the end result, they wouldn't have did it. Some of the crazy ones would have because they wanted the power, but a lot of the women that were in that move would have been like, absolutely not. It would have been dead.
Yeah.
The gospel of Christ binds up the brokenhearted and sets the captive free. This is what you need to break free from all of this. God is the answer, not the snake or anybody else. You need freedom? Go to Jesus.
Yep.
Now here she goes. All the public schools should teach eugenics.
That's crazy.
Yes. This is her mindset. Right? These are the things. These are the people that are laying the foundation to do these things. And this is their mindset. Eugenicists. And White says, society is composed of families and is what the heads of the families make it. The well-being of society, the success of the church, the prosperity of the nation depends on home influences.
Yeah.
Environment, not genetics.
But you know what? That actually shows that when you abuse a woman and you don't have a good man leading her, she's going to turn into a tyrant. Because she's going to use whatever as a vengeance against the person who did it, but because they can't, they will do it to everybody else they can possibly get. That when men say, oh, we can treat women however we want because we're men and we're the authority, we're leaders, you can treat women however you want and you'll get the consequences of it too. Because she will go on a rampage and she will get whoever she can to help follow her in the rampage to destroy as many people as possible.
Oh, yes. Like someone we know.
Oh, yes.
Eugenics and spiritualism too. Instruction in fathercraft will be given free of charge by a national eugenic committee organized yesterday, with Lady Cook, formerly Tennessee Claflin, the leading spirit. So they're going to teach eugenics, to teach fathers to teach their children eugenics.
The woman organized this to teach men to teach the children, because the only way they can get it to work is if they get the fathers to teach the children, because they're the only ones that will listen long term. If you get a father to teach a child to do something, they will most likely stick to that. If you get a mother to teach the child, they're not really going to stick
That's straight
statistically.
Ahab and Jezebel behavior
Yeah.
right there. I'm sorry. That is, and this is why the men today are being cucked out, because they're doing this,
Yeah.
right? You're going to get the wrong imprint because of that. Now, against eugenics, the greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their inmost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right, though the heavens fall. That is why we are in this position. We need more Elijahs and less Ahabs. We have a bunch of people running around for hurt feelings, going to a woman that is just cucking them out to feel good.
Yeah.
And then going back in and doing more wickedness instead of being a man and fixing the country. When I sit down and I listen to men cry and complain, it makes me sick. I'm gonna pull up a quote. Let's take a short break here, and we'll be back on the other side.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce the next generation of energy drinks, Rev 7. It has no sugar and no caffeine. Instead, Rev 7 uses Go BHB. Go BHB is one of the body's primary ketones, and it provides the most efficient and clean fuel that your body needs. It also helps you stay energized all day with no crashes. Not only that, it produces 3 times more brain energy than sugar, which helps boost your memory, focus, and mental sharpness. It also helps reduce stress and helps balance your mood. Rev 7 does all that while being the best tasting energy drink ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% today. I'm so sure you're going to love Rev 7. For a limited time, you get our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. I drink Rev 7 every day, and I absolutely love it, and so will you.
For anybody who needs any MyPillow products, go to mypillow.com/Karis or call it 1-800-845-2942. Use the promo code Karis. I mean, they got the energy drinks and all the good products over there. They even actually have some of the B17 stuff that we saw from the RNC, and it helps you treat your C words that you're seeing, that you're having a large influx in. So go check that out.
Turbo C words.
Yes, and go check that out and help yourself. So we're gonna pull up another clip here, and like when you're talking about this eugenicist, this racist, and a lot of these feminists were actually nationalists, and we're gonna look into this as we continue this dive into the first wave of feminism and what these people espoused and how they're being glorified for being bringing some of the worst elements of society, that they were being praised, and there was a lot of them, and there were some in Canada, don't worry, we'll get to them soon enough, that they were putting all this eugenicist ideology that were being brought in by feminists, because they were going to go in and the women were going to instruct their kids from when they're kids and warp their minds, and then they would go and find men that they could cuck out and get to them and reward them for their
cuckery.
Yes, for that type of behavior. Now we're going to listen to this guy here sit down, and this is Myron Gaines, and honestly, like I said, what I don't like is how he operates and just wants clout and talk about stuff, but he's not teaching people, the men, how to fix the situation, just complain about it.
I think America needs to stay a white majority country, the way it was founded. A lot of people get mad at me for saying this. Myron, how can you say this? You're a Muslim, you're Arab, you're... Look, I understand and respect a country's want and need to remain the way it was founded. I don't go to Saudi Arabia and tell them to all convert to Christianity and become Christians and accept Western values. No, I go over there and I assimilate. I respect the culture. When I was in the UAE, I respected the culture. I go to Romania, I respect the culture. I assimilate. Because I'm there as a guest. There is nothing wrong with nationalism. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to preserve your country. Controversial take, but whatever. People get mad at me for saying that. Well, you're proud. You should be saying this. My skin color has nothing to do with the truth. Whether it benefits me or not, it's actually a sign of a higher IQ individual. I did a test. I scored somewhere like 120, 130. I forget what it was. Somewhere in the 120s, 130s. So I'm not one of these sub-Saharan stupid monkeys. I'm able to fucking critically think. And honestly, if you guys want to see what happens when you lose the white majority, look at Toronto. No, thank you. I don't want a bunch of Jeets and Jamaicans and North African niggas running around fucking up the country. This is a very difficult conversation that people don't want to accept. It's the truth. Mass immigration creates problems. Canada's cooked. You guys want to see where the United States is heading with mass immigration? Go to fucking London. Go to fucking Toronto. Go to Minneapolis. Mass liberalism and mass immigration creates fucking problems. I respect people's want and need to keep their country preserved in a certain way of how it was founded. There's nothing wrong with that. To call people racist or demonize them for that is low IQ behavior. Because we would never say that about the Muslim world. We would never say that about Eastern Europe. Russians have the right to keep their country majority ethnically Russian. Saudi Arabians have the right to keep their country majority ethnically Saudi Arabian. Matter of fact, when it comes to Saudi Arabia, they won't even give you a citizenship if you're born there. Did you guys know that in the Arab world? You know how many of my cousins were born in Saudi Arabia? Them niggas said, no, thank you.
Nope.
No, thank you. You niggas are Sudanese. We're not giving you a passport. Every other country can exercise extreme levels of discrimination, nationalism, with no judgment. I think the UK, the United States, Canada, Australia, I think they should be able to do that too. People get mad at me, oh, you're a coon for saying that, blah, blah, blah. Look, all I'm saying is, if we can have nationalism in other countries, I think the Five Eyes should be able to do it too. Sorry for being consistent across the board, regardless of my skin color or my religion. I can understand how the world works.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That, first of all, I'm going to sit down and say this. How are you going to accomplish that without committing a lot of crimes? A lot of crimes. Because the people that were there lawfully, what are you going to do? Kill them? You're going to round them up and after they've been there for a long time, just throw them out to where? So you're going to become a tyrant and bring in tyranny, and then you think that it's going to stop once you got those people out? You are sadly mistaken. You are delusional. And you're demonstrating feminist behavior because you're not thinking from cause to effect. I don't care what anybody says. That is straight feminist behavior. That is, you're not thinking. Sure, take out the people that are there illegally, but you can't go out and start taking other people that are there lawfully and kicking them out, or you're going to commit crimes. If you can start removing things like that from people, it never stops at those people. You have to understand who brought those immigrants in. The government that was mostly white. They don't care about the people. This is what they need to get through their thick skulls. Race, these racial issues, they're there as a snare and a trap set by people like these people. and you are getting played. Every person that's sitting around, running around, spouting that racist nonsense to a nasty degree that they're going to go ahead and get rid of people that are helping them. You guys are the biggest reasons why criminals are walking free. Because you turn it into tribalism and let rapists and pedophiles and traffickers and traitors go free because they're of the right skin color to you. That is idiocy. Character. Now, if that person's character is wrong and they're like doing filth to children, deal with them regardless of their skin color. If they're a traitor, deal with them regardless of their skin color. That don't matter. Because you're going to tell me that you're going to you ask a child, would you want to go with a pedophile that was the same color as you? Or a different person who was a different color than you? I guarantee you, they'll tell you they don't want to go with the pedophile. Right? So why are you putting kids with pedophiles? Right? Why you turn a blind eye to pedophiles? Because they're not of the right place. They're not the white race. They're not the black race. They're not whatever race. All of this nonsense. Sure, can you have some controls on who comes in your country? Of course. Nobody's saying that. But when people start saying that it needs to go back to the way it was, what are you, nuts? You going to start murdering people in the streets and committing genocide? Like, think about that. This is absolutely absurd. It might feel good, and the women would go out and do it. And the men, you doing that? This is why men are supposed to be in the lead, because you're supposed to be able to sit down and think about things and say, this isn't rational. This is not going to work. Because you cannot become the people that you're saying that you're against and that these people are terrible, but you're going to propose to do something way worse? No, man. No. And when I sit down and I see all these guys that are coming out, like, which one of you guys would be in my spot and doing what I'm doing?
None
How many of you? None. First of all, most of you guys would have probably just Epstein yourself by now. Or the cover story for Epstein. Anyway.
Honestly, men like Myron make me want to vomit. Because what he's doing there doesn't even make sense. Because that list that he listed off, oh, UK this, Canada this, Canada's be finished, oh, Jamaicans, blah, blah, blah. Bro, you can't even keep up with your African-American friends that were raised in the UK. You are an American.
You know what?
You're weak.
You know what the funny thing is?
Or the Jamaican friends.
You know what the funny thing is? A lot of people think that Jamaicans act like Americans.
They don't.
No, I mean, like, in the sense of national pride. Because they love being Jamaican. Like, I mean,
yeah,
right? This is funny when they're saying that.
Exactly.
And a lot of those guys, they could take a lot more than a lot of these guys here.
Oh, yeah. They have, like, this is what pisses me off. This is why this pisses me off. Because someone like Myron, who sits around complaining on his computer, I don't care what he did when he was in the government. What he's doing right now is complete nonsense, because the people who he's complaining about spouting off, oh, UK this, Canada this, Toronto this, Jamaicans this, all of those people, he could not even deal with what these people deal with. He could never deal with what his friends deal with.
We interviewed a guy that used to be in the mafia, right? Now he's fighting for the rights of kids. I would take this guy on my team than pretty much any influencer that I see. You know why? Because he knows how to get things done, right? He's not going to go down and sit there and flop his lips. He's going to go out and do things. Because you know what? Men like him, they don't deal with pedophiles. When I was growing up, pedophiles, they didn't come around, right? You should show your face. Well, that'd be the last time you did that, because Ain't nobody going to tolerate that, right? But what happened to that? People that stand up and actually protect people rather than flap their lips.
Yeah.
Because all of these guys are sitting down there and flapping their lips and they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then I'm watching women coming in and doing things. And honestly, when it comes to the life and death matters, I'm sorry, most of you guys not going to do it, because I'm watching women do things that are just destructive because it makes them feel a certain way. Not saying that women don't have a role to do in the things, but they certainly don't have the role of doing what men do in this situation. They don't. We're different for a reason. Because I'll tell you right now, all these women that abandon their posts in motherhood are the reason why this world is the way that it is. Women are the ones who are safeguarding the children and nurturing their minds to shape our society. And they walked away from that so the state could come in and rape our children. That's why our society's cooked.
But why are people like him and Nick Fuentes coming complaining about this when they know people opposing color who are doing so much work, actual work, to fix these problems and suffering as a result of it? It's like, why are you pushing something that you know is like the most capable people around you are not what you're talking about? This is what doesn't make sense to me. This is what's so sick. This is actually why so many people come after the people that you're friends with, because you're going around pushing this stupid narrative instead of teaching people to actually follow character and analyze the circumstances of what's going on and support what actually makes sense and works.
Yes, and all you guys that are doing this stuff and allowing this to happen, don't complain when they come for you, right?
There won't be anyone left.
Because
they're cowards. They won't be able to deal with it.
I got wiped out in one day 5 years ago, and I've been getting sacked ever since. And then I have people coming around because I'm going after pedophiles and people who are doing things that are wrong and helping people, women who are getting raped that nobody's helping. And somehow I become a bad guy, but I'm getting hunted down by these people relentlessly. Go on X and somebody says that they're going to say anything supportive, they get swarmed. That's not somebody who is that's not victimized people. That's predatory behavior. 100%. And people are doing everything they can so that they can eliminate me. I watch people die from these types of things, and that level of suppression. But go ahead. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you know who's going to suffer most? The innocent people. And you know what they're going to do when they find out? Feel sorry for you. Sucks to suck. Because you know what? I'll tell you something. There's never been anybody in history that could ever hide the truth. Truth can never be hid. Doesn't matter whether I live or die. Truth is still going to be the truth. And everybody who did this is still going to get found out. That's really all the way it is. Look throughout history. That always happens. But the fact of the matter is that when these people do these things and they run around with their feelings rather than acting like men, you are letting the strongest get taken out, and then there's less and less and less. And then you're going to pray to your genetics and say that I have the genetic lottery because that is God and that is your God. Because I hear people talking more about blonde hair, blue eyed, or whatever the racial characteristics that they're speaking than following what God wants or coming to God for help. If you're a Christian and you're talking about some racial characteristic more than God, then your racial characteristic is your idol. And you need to tear down that idol and go back and worship God. Because at the end of the day, you know what? God has got a sense of humor. And a lot of you guys are going to realize a lot of those people that are different races that you guys let get destroyed, those are the ones that God sent to help you. And then you're going to find out real bad, right? That it goes for whatever race you are, don't matter. Because God is going to teach people a lesson about race. Because I read John 17 and he says he's going to bring his people together so that the world would believe that he was sent. You know what he's got to do? He's got to cure that racism problem because he don't like it.
And by the way, are you done? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And by the way, go step in Toronto and see if you can say that. Because the white people would knock you out.
He wouldn't do that.
I'm not saying that I'm advocating for violence. I'm not saying I would do it. I'm saying what would happen if you try to pull that in Toronto. Go down in Toronto and try it.
You see, a lot of these people are dumb. And I'm going to tell you why.
I don't know anything about Canada. What do you know?
No, I'm talking about this whole idea of this racism. You see, a lot of these Indians, and I grew up with Indians.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Indians, they didn't like who they were bringing over, and they were complaining about it, and nobody gave a damn. And now they're getting overrun. But if you'd listened to the Indians that were there and saying, hey, there's a problem, we need to deal with this, it wouldn't have got this far. But now, all of those guys who know the ins and outs of that situation, you want to throw them out with the rest of them. The ones that can give you the tactical advantage that you need, you want to get rid of it. That's idiocy. That's how you lose wars. Go ahead and just work for Klaus Schwab and start glazing him. Maybe you need to bend over and let him give you a few plows because that's what you're doing. You're not helping your country. You're destroying it, and you're bending over for the globalists.
And, by the way, growing up in school, the East Indian kids, the Caribbean kids, the African kids were the highest performers in the school. They got almost perfect marks consistently because their parents came over properly and valued the system that that brought them and had respect for Canada. They raised their kids like, I brought you here to have a better life. You better not squander it. The Caribbean kids, like I said, and the East Indian kids, the highest marks in the schools. So don't come talking like you know what's going on. You have no clue what you're talking about. Because these people, you could never. I promise you, don't try it. Don't try it.
People who don't do what they do unless they love their country and love people and love God. Because you can't do it without it. This is why no one else is doing that. And people have to have something in them to do these types of things that other people are not doing. And a lot of people who are cussing all these people, when I start looking at the people who are getting targeted, they're doing more than what other people are doing. I listen to people and saying they're going to talk this and that. Well, no, that's what women do. Men go out and they take action.
But they all...
1 second. When I hear men doing this, and instead of taking action, I find a problem. I'm just going to...
But just quickly, they also talk about, they're taking all these lower jobs that nobody can get, like these fast food and all this other crap. All of the kids I grew up with in school, East Indians, Caribbean, whatever, grew up in wealthy white areas, mind you, because I grew up in a decently wealthy white area, and their parents all had money. They all doctors, lawyers, engineers, top performing citizens. Anyways, continue. I'm over it. I'm done.
I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna close again with this before I have a prayer. The greatest want of the world is the want of men. Men who will not be bought or sold. Men who in their innermost souls are true and honest. Men who do not fear to call sin by its right name. Men whose conscience is true to do for the right, though the heavens may fall. If you're not that man, you need to be. And if you can't be, then you should step aside and support the men that are doing that. Because only men like that are the ones that are going to fix this problem. Because if you're not that man, you're standing in the way of them, God help your soul, because I don't want to be you. Anyway, I'm going to close here with a prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for your love, grace, and mercy. We thank you for the hope that you have given us this day. And Father, I ask of you this day in the name of Jesus to open our hearts and minds and help men that we would humble ourselves before God and repent of our sins and to come to you. And Lord, I ask of you this day to help us to rebuild our families, our churches, our community, and our nation. And that we would have some protection for the children who are suffering and who are needing our help the most is my prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, guys, for tuning into this late show. Like my dad said, be that man. I am clearly not that man. I am a woman. I do not have the patience of the saints. I need to pray a little bit more for that. But you know what? I do know some good men. One of them, my father. The other one, a Jamaican. Catch you guys later. To my dearest Karis, until we meet again, my friend.